There it is. Jeez. That's crazy.
Yeah, I don't know why, because we didn't have that problem last time.
No.
Last time I just put the key in and went, and it was all. I don't know.
That's all you need to do.
Yeah, I don't know why it was different this time.
You ready?
Okay, good. That's the button to do that. That's the thing to do that. Whoa, buddy.
Hi, sweetie.
Can I pop this out?
There we go.
Man, this is really terrible. It's like not an actual pop out. Settings.
You want to go down to.
I just want to be able to like make this so that that's fine. So if somebody says something, I'll be able to see it right here.
Okay.
You ready?
I'm ready.
You ready?
I'm ready. Good evening. I'm Sandy, and I would like to welcome you to Facebook Live at 6 o'clock with Sandy. I'd like to also thank Dwayne for being here. He's the hand model, and my son, who is the director and running everything behind the screens. Behind the scene, not screens. If you're interested in a piece that I will be showing, message me on social media for details. And you can find me on YouTube at Moreno, Moreno 9103, or on Instagram at 4VintageLover. I go live every Friday at 6 o'clock on Facebook, and I'm happy to be here. So my neck all of a sudden hurts. So I found these buttons at the flea market, and I found these first. And I was so excited because they're bulldogs with a stick in his mouth. And at the end of the flea market, I was sitting in the car with my friend Marilyn, and I said, "Look at these buttons. They're bulldogs with a stick or a bone." I said, the only thing that could be better than this is if they said Paris. And guess what they say on the back? They're Paris. They're antiques. They're Victorian age. And so my goal in buying buttons and doing button art is to take the buttons out of the jars and take the buttons out of the drawer so you can actually wear them as costume jewelry. Now, my thing that I like about them, what I like to do with them is I don't like to ruin the integrity of the button, and if the button has something that is broken or something that's not working about it, then I will use it as a broken button and glue it or whatever I do with it. But these are intact. They're absolutely amazing. I've never seen a backing like that. I don't know if you could see it or not, but it's a cross hatch on there. And so that gave me an opportunity to use them in a different way than what I would normally use them. I also found this button, which is a lady, and I believe that she's an actress of some sort. And I don't know her name, but I will find out and post it later. But she is gorgeous. She has a Victorian hat and like a scarf, and just amazing. And then I found these mother of pearl with marcasite on them. And I'm just going to show you a couple. And then these are some kind, these blue ones are some kind of shell also. And just love them. So I was able to make some earrings out of them. I woke up kept on dreaming, and I woke up at 12 o'clock at night and went into my room to make these particular earrings because I came up with a design that would not ruin the integrity of the button. And I spiffed up the bulldog just a little bit, and they're pretty cool. They're really cool. And if you flip one over, Dwayne, you could see the back on how I did it, and you could still read the Paris sign on them or the Paris imprint on this. So it really made me happy that I was able to design these earrings. And then of course, I made the other ones also with the now the stones on this blue one is sapphires, the little round sapphires. And then you have them upside down, babe.
One of them's upside down.
Yeah, they're both upside down. Excuse me. There you go. So the blue is very vibrant in those, and so you could see how I did that one also. So it doesn't ruin the integrity of them, and that's the part that makes me happy. I love so that if you ever decide you want them in your collection, you can. Now these are moonstone. That come here. It's my puppy wants me. So yeah, so these are wrapped with wire, very thin wire, and I hand string them. I wrap, put a bead, wrap, put a bead. So they take a little bit of time to do them. But that was my inspiration this week by going to the flea market and picking up these buttons. And the lady I bought them from was the kindest lady. Her name was Mary, and it was her own personal collection that she decided it was time to let go of some of these things. And her mother was there, and just the sweetest people. And it was hot, but yet they still had their sweet personality about them. So I was, like I said, I was very excited, very happy. Maybe next month I'll show you the beads that I get, the buttons I get from Mary. Mary's a great person at the flea market too that I really enjoy. So I am going to move on to shrink art. So this last week and a half, I showed you the shrink art that I was working on for the class, and so it inspired me to make some more earrings. And also too, by spending time working with the shrink art, I get to learn and relearn how to use it and use it in a different way and be creative. And it sparked a whole other level of creativity for me. And so here is these are a little bit of a dangle earring. color on them is exquisite. The beads that I used that drop down on them are from a broken necklace that I took apart and used, and so nothing is really ever lost with me. These are Japanese lampwork beads, and we're already chain, like, wire wrap like that, so it was really nice just to see them as a drop on an earring. And these are also part of the necklace that I use. These are stamps on the top, and I use different color stamps to create the different hues in it. And then this is just the same stamp. You never know what you're going to get, because what you start with is something that's twice as big as that is, and then when it shrinks down, the color intensifies and the design gets smaller. So you just never really know. I really enjoy making these like little flower buttercup kind of earrings. They make me very happy, and I like this stamp that I use. Now here's another one, but this is like a green. This is like a green pepper, green mint color. I used pan pastels. If you see my reels, it will show the pan pastels and what I used to make them. And so this was a very light mint green, and look at how dark it got. Now this is the same stamp that I used on the blue, but I used like a mustard color and a purple, and I really like colors that don't necessarily go together, but they end up going together. This is a vintage Czechoslovakia heart, and then this is a Swarovski crystal, and I believe these are vintage beads at the top also. These are my shrink leaf collection. No, Dinky Leaves collection. These are my Dinky Leaves collection.
This one's name is.
And this one's name is Green Dancer. And what was the first one?
First one was
Blue Petal. I love that name. Okay. The names are going to get better, I promise you.
Just to remind me, you gotta give me a little bit of time so I can change the title of the next item.
Okay. So these are a very vibrant pink, and I named these Flower Power. And I always do a stamp on the back. And these are vintage Czechoslovakian leaves on hearts on the bottom. And so how I got this white, so white, it's a metallic pen. I stamped on it, and then I color. And with the color being so dark, I have to learn the different hues to make the colors really pop. So, and I believe that's a Swarovski. It's called a Minky. It has gold on one side of it. No, this isn't the Minky. These are just Swarovskis. And that is called Flower Power. Okay. I think we're off by one. I think that was called Cherry Blossom.
No, Cherry Blossom's after this one. This next one.
The Collector. Okay, I'm off.
You might be off.
Of course I'm off. Okay. So this was, I only made 3 of these, and I'm probably only going to make 3 because these are a little bit kitschy. It's a a stamp of a jar, and then I put these teeny, they don't have, that one doesn't have necessarily have a back, huh? And I put these teeny tiny doll buttons or baby clothes buttons on them inside the jar. And then at the bottom, there's these glass buttons, probably German. And they're so cute, but they're kitschy. You know, I don't necessarily wear kitschy. I usually do when I design about 99% for me and 1% or 10%, 80% for me and 10% for somebody else. Well, this is one of those 10% that is not necessarily for me, but I really do love. Okay, so the next one is cherry blossoms. I already showed the cherry blossoms, but let's show them again. I don't know how I did that. There's the cherry blossom. They have Czechoslovakian hearts on them. They're beautiful. They're glass. I also want to let you know these are very, very, very lightweight. The only thing that is the weighted part is the bead, and the bead is not very weighted in itself. So I used pan pastels, and this pink was very bright, and it got even brighter when I shrunk it. So I do love the color. I love the way it comes out. And if you're a bright person, now see, I would wear those really easy. It's funny. I won't wear the buttons, the collectors, but I'll wear those. And I really like those a lot. And then the next ones are the spark.
No.
Nope.
Well,
Like this, just fine.
I'm really backwards. Now this is, when it gets on screen, you'll realize it's a lot lighter pink. This was really a pastel pink when I put it on there, but look at still, look how vibrant it got. Now the beads are vintage. I believe those are German. So the blue has little flowers on it. That's the back, and the bee is the front. I really like the way these turned out. They're fun and very bright. And they're on a silver earring holder. This collection was just fun to do because they were also bright and also different, and it really took me to another place when I was doing them because they were so bright. Now, these are called Spark.
no, that was the next segment.
Oh, well, we messed up someplace.
Those weren't on our list. We did all of the ones that were on the list. Here. We did. Was that supposed to be blue petal?
The flower, this one, okay. That one was that one.
No, that one was that one. That was that one. You skipped flower power. Was that supposed to be flower power?
I don't know. It's okay.
Show.
Yeah, let's just show them. I don't know which ones they are. I'm totally lost. I'm sorry. We'll go back over that again. These are really pretty. They're a blue, almost a turquoise, and again they have the Swarovski heart on them. and then the back is just kind of like circles with little dots in it. And then this has just like this long flower. It's very abstract. I'm sorry I messed up. I'm going to go back and put them in order in just a minute. So
Let's not run through the whole thing.
we don't have to run through them, but anyhow, that's where we are. So I'm going to take a drink of water. So I'm talking about the spark. What goes through my head when I see something that I know I want to create something out of? Like these buttons this weekend. I knew I wanted to do earrings. At first I thought, oh, I'm going to resell them. And then I thought, no, I'm going to make some earrings out of them because they're just so beautiful and so different. And I think a lot of people would like to have a pair. So, so the spark was finding the earrings. How am I going to make the earrings? What technique am I going to use to make them really show the button? I didn't want to overdo it so the button is not showing. I wanted to do it so that whatever I did enhanced the button, and so it was beautiful, so that it would look like it was meant to be, like it was made that way in Victorian time. So I feel like I did a good deed to those buttons, and I'm excited to do some more. They are going to be at my shows, and I'll probably show them again on the live once I have a bigger collection. I like working in collections. I like working by having all my things out to see what all my supplies are that will best match what I'm doing. So I think by just doing these three, just to get the technique down, was a good way to do it, and that makes me happy because I know I'm not ruining the integrity of the button. And if anybody just wants the button and they just want to use it as a collector's piece, they can. So my sparks. So I go down a rabbit trail when I see something. Like I remember this one time I saw these, it was Halloween time, and I saw these great big giant eyeballs, and I go, oh, I got to use them. But what am I going to use them for? I buy them. And then I'm looking around like, oh, I'm going to make headbands out of them. And so I got this mossy stuff. I put the eyeballs in the mossy stuff, and I created this whole Halloween headband. And it was like boom, 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 boom. It just happens really naturally for me to find what I want to collect, to put it together, to make it a finished product. And I get giddy over that because I think it looks amazing. I think it looks fun, or I'm having a good time creating with it. So that's how I know it's not like a struggle to do it. It just happens. So we're going to move on now to what I'm calling 1957. 1957 is a reprint of some vintage characters. And so I made some bags out of them, and the fabric is, of course, vintage. I don't know if you can see that, but they will be shown in just a minute. And then I added some vintage elements to it, like some trim or a... Let's go the other way. There she is. Isn't she adorable? These faces, they drive me crazy. So I added this trim to it, and I added this. This is It's a cut flower, and it is out of felt, and it's very old. And then I made this. It's out of rickrack, and you can make a little flower out of rickrack. Who would have thunk that? So now, okay, now we're going to move it so that you can see the whole thing. We didn't plan on how big it was going to be, so let's see. Oh, look at how pretty. You go up just a tad bit more?
Not really.
Okay,
Because we're going to get the blue tape and it start getting
okay,
all back in there, actually. That's nothing.
okay. He could just,
Hold on.
hold on. We're redesigning. Here we go. Okay. So this one's called June and Fido. Who would name their cat Fido? I would. Isn't that so cute? Oh, is there two kitties? And what is she doing? Anyhow,
She's holding. Is that a cat?
is it
Yes,
It looks like a cat.
okay? So Fido's. Anyhow, Fido
Traditionally,
one.
Fido is a dog's name.
I know. That's why I named it Fido, because I thought it was cute. I love the fabric. I love the image. Okay, so that one's June and Fido 1 and Fido 2.
Yeah, that's as high as we can get it.
And this one has a front and back.
So do you want to show it to the camera?
Oh, you want me to throw it up there again? Isn't that cute? Reprints, 1957. Oh, yes, I do want to talk. Okay, so when I was designing these, I was looking for things that were different, that matched, that gave it some life, and kind of trying to be of the era. So this one is a little baby doll, and this one's called Sally Baby, and I love the chair. Do you remember those? Oops, can't see it yet. Hi, Tune. Well, come here. Come on. No. Okay.
Oh,
Why is it still there?
my God. Hey.
Petunia wants to be part of the party. Come on, baby. Come on. Come here. Come here. Come here. Come here. Come here. Come on. Oh, yes. Look at this. Isn't that cool? So this is rickrack. And you sew it, the tips of it, and then you turn it into a flower. And then this is trim that my cousin found when she was traveling. And, I started to talk about this chair. This chair is amazing. It reminds me of my youth. That is like a perfect example of that. Okay, now you got to see the back of this thing, because it is so stinking cute. It's old tablecloth, and on the back, it's all hand embroidered, and on the back, it has a wonderful bow. And then, if you can see the inside of it, look at this fabric for the inside. Isn't that beautiful? The width was like a 28, which means it was pretty old, because as time went on, first the fabric widths were very narrow, because they didn't hook it onto a machine. I don't know how they did it, but they didn't hook it onto a machine. And then as time went on, that's when the widths got, when you see like there's a little holes on the side. So that's a more modern fabric, but this is a tablecloth, and I just love the way they turned out. So that's that one. Okay,
Hold that one up to the camera.
okay, and
So they can get an idea of the size.
then here's that, and then here's the back. There you go. Oh, I could do that. Okay, and this one is
Hold it up
called.
to the camera first
Oh.
so they can get an idea of the size.
Oh, this. I think this is sheet material, baby sheet material. It's a very stiff, not stiff, but a very solid cotton. And I love how the stripes go the other way. And this one, oh my gosh. So, this trim is a very delicate woven trim, and somebody attached seam binding to it with a ruffle. Not me, but sewing it was very interesting. But it's just so delicate and so pretty, and I thought that it just matched perfectly. And look at that image. Look at the colors. I think that's why I was inspired to do the shrink art like I did. The shrink leaves, because they were just so, the colors were just so beautiful.
Show the back of this
Yeah. Isn't that pretty fabric? And it's 100% cotton. And there's the inside. Just a stripe going the other way. Okay. And the next one is going to be
Over the camera. So they can get an idea of the size.
Dick and Jane.
Dick and Susan.
Dick and Susan. And this is just a Swiss dot. But wait until you see the inside. Oh, God. Look at the inside fabric. Oh, so pretty. Now the trim on this one is trim that I hand dyed, and they were picking daisies, and so I thought that this daisy trim would be perfect for this. And I love hand dyeing things. I love the inconsistent colors that come up. I love that. So there's green, there's pink, there's a hotter pink, and there's a little bit of white in there. And just beautiful. And then, of course, the inside is very bright and very colorful, so it matches the outside as well as the inside. No, that didn't make sense. It matches, the inside matches the outside. Okay. You want to show the inside? Can you pull that down a little bit? There you go. Look at that. Oh, oh, oh. Very pretty.
Super cute.
You want me to hold it up again?
Do you want to show the inside? Yeah, show the inside in the big camera. Oh yeah, show that on the table again, like that.
Isn't that pretty?
Show that on the table again. Table's just got better color right now.
Look at that. You could see.
Oh, that's so much fun.
That is just, yeah. It's really a fun color, fun fabric. And that's also vintage. Just beautiful. Can you imagine a dress like made out, a whole dress made out of that? A swing dress? It'd be so pretty. So this one is very girly. Very, very girly. It's girl on the swing. This is not vintage fabric, but I thought it was too good not to use because it just matched perfectly. And the inside is a stripe. And we'll put it on the table so you can see it better. And this one has vintage pink rickrack with a little bit of silver running through it. And it's just gorgeous. Yeah, that fabric is just matched just too amazingly. Again, these are from reproduction from 1957, and this one is called Boo Boo. The colors and the detail, and I don't know how they did that. You know, we don't get stuff like that now, in my opinion. Okay. And then this one, this is not necessary. I'm thinking this, oh, I'm sorry. I'm thinking this fabric on the outside is more 80s fabric, so I wouldn't necessarily call it vintage, but I like the way it looked. It's a quilting fabric. But this one on the inside, these roses, just amazing. Pretty, huh? You want me to put back in?
Yeah.
Here. You
So
got
when you're
it?
showing it to the camera, it's just so I get an idea of the style.
Okay.
But we can put that on camera.
I'm going to put that on the table now. And what I did on this one is I added the trim, and the trim is vintage. They're like the little red and pink flowers, and then I added the vintage butterfly to it. And this one's called Best Friends, that they like to study together and be together. And I just thought it was really sweet. And again, the fabric, I think, lends itself to what I did with the patch there, or the applique that I used, the vintage piece. So they're about 18 by 18 when I cut them out. I wanted them to be big enough to hold some whatever, and they are washable. So I think it's a nice piece to have if you like being a little bit different. And can you turn that one inside out? Show the roses, please. So this is fabric that was I have a storage closet full of fabric, and I just pulled all this fabric out and thought, oh my gosh, these are all bright enough to use. This rose one is just really, really, really pretty. And then next week I have the bags that I had been working on with the vintage baby clothes, and wait until you see those. Those are so sweet. They now that was a spark. Those were a spark. It was, I saw something that somebody did doll clothes and put it on a hard purse, and then I thought, wouldn't it be cute to have vintage baby clothes on bags? And so that's what, and then again, like I said, normally I get the spark and then the things come to me very easy. Like my friend had just maybe 20 pieces of vintage baby clothes, and so I got them, so I was able to apply that spark that I got immediately. It was just there. So you could see those. I did one sample. They're on a previous video, but next week I'll have the whole collection together so that you can see what I did with them and where that spark took me. Again, thank you for being here and letting me share this with you. And if you have any questions, you can message me on my social media, and YouTube is at Sandy Moreno.
At Moreno.
At Moreno. No, yeah, YouTube is Moreno 9103, and Instagram is at For Vintage Lover. Thank you for being here with us. I always get so excited when I get to do this and share my passion and share what I make. And please message me if you have any questions. Also, anything, if you want to know what kind of glue, or any questions about crafting. I do so many different items. I could probably help you out with that. Okay, take care. Have a great week.